Welcome. It's your boy Carcino here. And man, I was not going to respond to this when it first came out because I wanted to see what all it presented. Now Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift is involved. This Blake Lively situation with Justin Baldoni has been it ends with us. This has been one of the craziest things I've ever seen, probably in legal history. Just looking at this, there was a lot of twists and turns legally that took place with this movie. And it's unfortunate because the movie was actually pretty good. Um, you couldn't tell that there was a problem looking at the film. The film got a lot of notoriety because of it. Now, when everything is said and done, you start to look at what's actually happening here and you start to try to figure it out or get some type of understanding or wrap your head around it and you can't. And the reason that you can't is because it's a bit of a mess. Everything here doesn't make sense. And you're trying to figure it out in your head. Why doesn't it make sense to you? Because you hear her side of the story and I'm like, if this guy said all of these things and if he made these type of allegations against you and he did all these things to you, it is amazing that she was able to go through such an ordeal and come out and still do the movie and it was like, oh my God, like she went through the red carpet. She wanted them to be separated. She needed she had to hire a intimacy coach because it was intimacy issues and lines were crossed and they had to do this and then Ryan Reynolds had to berate him. It became a crazy type of situation. And looking at the New York Times post about it was almost insane that I'm like, here's a basically an unknown actor, writer, and director. Basically unknown in the main scope of Hollywood, and here it is. Blake Lively is taking over his film, and it's all about her, and she's the victim, and this is what happened, and we got to stand up for women. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, that's what the case is. But then you start to see all the lies start to fall apart, and you start to see there's a lot of players in this game. And once he started dropping lawsuits and suing these people back, oh boy, did everything change. Everything changed. And that is alarming. Now, you're starting to see all of these people here are really weird because you're starting to see she's never went naked in a movie ever. And then she strips down in this film with him. Ryan Reynolds is intimidated by this guy. But whatever the reason may be, Blake Lively controlled everything. She complained about, oh, he kissed me too long. He did all these things, but she controlled all of it. She controlled everything that was going on here. And she has a history of going and falling for her co-stars. Gossip Girl, when she did The Town, her and Affleck was getting it on. And everybody's seen this, and Ryan and him were friends. They weren't dating at the time, but still. And then, he was married to Johansson, And then they met during what's that, Green Lantern. Yeah, she accused him of adding unnecessary steaming scenes and kissing me for a long time when she's the one that choreographed everything. The text message showed she was showing him how she wanted to be pulled in, and Ryan Reynolds co-wrote, even though he's not even on the payroll. He came in and did it. Then she was on his workout post, posting under there. She's like, try it, play. She's like, oh, you win. Right. You see that? That's crazy. Then all of a sudden, all her lies, everything she said, has turned out to be untrue. Oh yeah, barged in the trailer while she was topless and breastfeeding. Did not happen at all. She invited him. She's like, I'm pumping in my trailer. If you want to work on something, just come by. He's like, well, I'm eating right now. Um, I'll be over there. She's take your time. I'm here. I'll meet you at whatever. So he took his time getting there. He didn't barge in. She tried to blame him for making her wear revealing dresses. Lies. She refused to wear stuff that they had on the set. She brought clothes from home onto the set that had nothing to do with him. She was clearly manipulating the set, taking control, all the slow motion dancing. Oh, she was so uncomfortable. And he smelt my hair and he rubbed my ear, kissed me from my ear. It was that. And they put out the clip, and you see they're making jokes about his nose. Does that look like a woman that's uncomfortable about something? This is terrible. And it ruined what was a good movie and should have been his triumph. Now he has to sue for his credibility because they're trying to throw him under the bus. And Blake Lively, who's had a very spotty career, this is almost worse than the Amber Heard situation because all of the evidence that he is putting out would end her. Everything about her is ended. And this is what people were saying, she's difficult to work with. And Taylor Swift is her bestie. So Taylor Swift was also involved a lot into this process. So we had to get an intimate coordinator because everything was to everything get comfortable on the set. But that wasn't true. The intimacy coordinator was out there and it was like she was coordinating everything more than him. And she was falling for him on the set. And Ryan Reynolds knows it. He knew he was intimidated by this dude. Mr. Deadpool is insecure. He's definitely Deadpool. You see, this guy's got a six pack better than his. You remember when he used to have a six pack? And this is why his wife used to be all about him. If a woman's gonna cheat on you and don't care about your situation, she's gonna cheat on anybody. This woman is cheating on every man she's dated. She doesn't care if you gave her 3 kids. She'll have 3 kids and get her rocks off when she can. She took over the entire film. The writer of the movie, whose book it was, who they bought the rights for to make the movie, she was on his side. Then she changed and flipped. Now, as you can see right here, it says that on May 23rd, 2023, clearly refused Mrs. Lively characterization of his behavior. The scene in question is designed, right? This is the bar night. They slow dance at the bar while patrons around them drinking. watching sports completely in their own world. Blake Lively has put out a cease and desist over this clip. They don't want people to see this information. Save it for the court case. Even though she went to New York Times to put out this story so that all these social media blog sites can run with the narrative of what she was posting. None of the things, not one of the things that she said has corroborated anything to back up her claim. See, the problem that messes her up is all of it's on tape and text messages. So now he's suing. He's suing Blake Lively for defamation. She's going to have to settle this because she's not going to win. He did nothing wrong. And the fact that they're coming after this man as if he was an animal, all because she fell for him and her husband doesn't like it and he's pissed off about it, that's weak. But it goes to show you what happens in Hollywood. Now, in the movie, in this scene where they're slow dancing, there's going to be no sound. So they could say whatever they want here. This is where she claims he smelled her hair and kissed her on her ear all the way down on her neck. And she was so uncomfortable in this scene. So they put this scene out. So this is what they did and recorded it. They shot it one time. And unbelievable. Even after all the controversy that went on around the film, Justin Baldoni was being a professional. And here's the part. Now he's trying to, right, look, he's doing what he's supposed to do. Where is this? I'm so uncomfortable. He's acting and doing like they're supposed to be doing. He's doing his job. They're supposed to be two people in love. That's exactly what's happening here. And they're supposed to be in their own world while everybody in the world is doing everything, right? So it was kind of crazy to see. I never wanted to entertain the rest of the narratives, right? And it's like, oh, y'all want to take the guy's side. No, I didn't. I wanted to hear both sides of the story. And it was a good thing I didn't say anything until I saw both sides of the story. Because Blake's story was just too out of control. Like everything was conveniently against her. If it was something that was small, it was like we had to get an intimacy coordinator because he was out of control, and it would have had a lot of people on her side. But the writer left and actually went to her side. That's what was even more troubling. That's what I found to be quite disturbing was the fact that for some odd reason that became the case. You know, that became a main problem in the said scenario. She was clearly falling for this guy. You could see it, and she's done it before in the past. She falls in love with her co-stars. She starts acting like she's in love because that's what the role declares, and she can't decipher that from real love. And I guess he just wasn't. He's in the moment of acting. Even promoting the film, he talked positive about her at every turn, knowing all of this controversy had happened. There's a lot to unpack. It just is. It's just a lot to unpack. And when you are in the midst of dating somebody and you guys are a power couple, when the only person that's bringing in the power couple is Ryan Reynolds. He's on top of the world. He's got $1 billion movie. He's got Deadpool. He just got Disney, and he's on top right now. The Deadpool franchise got him in high demand. He's an A-list actor now in Hollywood because of it. Now, the scenario in here is that when you have a situation that things go left, as you start seeing character play and people who don't usually have the situation under control, as they're doing everything. Look, they're doing everything they're supposed to do. Yeah, look, they're talking about spray tan. None of the stuff she was talking about in her complaint. Right? Blake had just had her third baby. Okay, so she had just had her baby. Exactly. So she got in shape. Hmm. Well, the director is filming them, filming their feet. He's gonna bring the camera up slowly, and yeah, they're gonna continue the shots until they find the shots they're gonna use in the film. When she gets spun around, he brings it up. So that's the director directing him. Look, he's not putting his hands anywhere inappropriate. This is this is what I'm saying. And it's sad because other men got to experience this kind of nonsense where they're being attacked and it's believe all women and you're stuck in this conundrum. It's a sad scenario. It really is. And it kind of pisses me off because it's not fair. It's not fair to the people that put in this work. It's not fair to the people that seen all of this activity transpire only to be confused and just, oh my God, just drugged down by lies. Everyone could tell with these text messages and everything else. This is a $400 million lawsuit, and Blake Lively is demanding a gag order in this thing. She wants an immediate cease and desist of all what she called unlawful conduct towards like what she says unlawful conduct towards her or whatever. All parties and their affiliates, including the harassing and retaliatory media and online campaign against Miss Lively. They want to file a virtual complaint to say that, oh my God, we need this gag order quick. Why are they so? Where was the cease and desist when y'all put out that article in the New York Times? He had to sue them for 250 million. He finna come up like a fat rat because they know this make their client look terrible because their client lied. That's why you're upset. Your client lied.
You guys are really cute.
I think it's more than cute.
New footage from Justin Baldoni's camp and a new response from Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' side has just heated up this already bitter legal war going on between the stars. Who's telling the truth about what happened on the set of It Ends With Us? And how much of this fight is going to play out in the public? We're going to break down these new updates for you right now. Well,
now, this is what I like about this on here and the way they broke it down. It's because it's going to tell you how it should play out in a legal proceeding.
Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, so we have some big updates in our continuing coverage of the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively legal saga. We have new footage from the set that was released by Baldoni's legal team arguing this proves his claims against the actress. We also have a new gag order request from Lively and her husband, actor Ryan Reynolds, who is named as a defendant in this litigation. And we're going to have a great guest who I'm going to bring on in a little bit to go through all of this. But first, brief backstory to get you up to speed here. By the way, I say brief because we've done a lot of sidebars about all of the different lawsuits here. I encourage everybody to check them out on our Law and Crime YouTube page. But first, brief backstory here. So this all started with when Blake Lively, the actress, first filed a civil rights complaint and then an official lawsuit against her co-star and the director of her movie It Ends With Us, accusing Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment, a hostile work environment on the set, and organizing a retaliatory PR campaign against her after she spoke about Baldoni's alleged misconduct. That's her main allegation. And she accused Baldoni of making inappropriate comments about her appearance, improvising intimate scenes on set, talking about pornography, coming into her trailer unannounced, including while she was breastfeeding. And she says, in terms of the retaliatory campaign that he allegedly spearheaded with a PR specialist and a crisis management expert, in her filing, she included screenshots of messages between the defendants that she obtained through a subpoena. Messages like, I'm having reckless thoughts of wanting to plant pieces this week of how horrible Blake is to work with, just to get ahead of it. Or how about this, where Baldoni, quote, wants to feel like she can be buried, with a response from the crisis manager, you know we can bury anyone. Now, Baldoni not only countered this with a bombshell lawsuit of his own, but he basically accused Lively of deliberately misrepresenting situations and conversations to ruin his reputation. And also that she slowly took control over the film that he directed and produced. Because in his lawsuit, he included text conversations as well that he says refutes Lively's claims, such as a text where she allegedly invited him into her trailer while she was breastfeeding, or other conversations purportedly showing that she refused to meet with an intimacy coordinator and he had to be the middle person to work out the scenes with her. In other words, he tried to refute all of her allegations, and included in that is newly released footage from his lawyer, Brian Friedman, which is what we're going to get into. I should also tell you, by the way, that he sued the New York Times, too, for defamation because they published a piece titled, We Can Bury Anyone Inside a Hollywood Smear Machine, and this was published the day after Lively filed her complaint. And he said this was deliberate, that this had been worked out with Lively and that the publication produced a misleading report on selective evidence, that it didn't publish the full context of what was happening. Hey, so we want to keep on following this Baldoni Lively story for you. And with that, I have to thank our sponsor, Upside, because it's their support that
complaint, at least based on the text messages and emails he provided in his complaint, he does show evidence of refuting a lot of the allegations, ones that you just mentioned, where produces text saying she invited him into her trailer to go over lines while she was breastfeeding, that she refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator. In her complaint, she said there wasn't even an intimacy coordinator. And then based on this newly released footage, I didn't really see evidence of harassment as much as just sort of an awkward interaction on camera.
In other words, would you say he's making some really good claims or defenses to the idea that he created a hostile work environment, that she maybe was taking control of the movie? What about, do you think he's done a thorough enough a job, an adequate job, a sufficient job of refuting the allegations that he and his team were behind the retaliatory campaign? Because she produced those text messages that when I covered it the first time, I said, these look really, really bad. It looks like it was a deliberate campaign to make her look bad in the press and try to cover up, all the allegations of fat shaming and all things like that. Do you think he's done a sufficient job of trying to refute that claim?
Yeah, I think there's two main threads that he's using, at least that I saw in his complaint and his defenses. So one is his attorney provided a lot of different examples of social media posts that Blake Lively herself posted during the promotion of the film. So one of their big defenses is they're saying she brought this negative backlash on herself. She chose to promote her alcohol line and her beauty or hair care line rather during a time when she's promoting a film about domestic violence, knowing the link that happens between alcohol and domestic violence. There were a lot of social media posts in the complaint proving that. But then also I think you see an entirely other thread where he's saying, look, this isn't a smear campaign. This is just PR, right? We know how PR works. A PR professional's job is to be able to put out positive stories about their client and sometimes maybe plant negative stories about the opponent. So where do you draw the line between crisis PR, which he's saying he had to hire a crisis PR team because he's claiming he got backlash, versus a smear campaign?
How much of this is fighting in the court of public opinion versus actual going to trial? Why do I say that? Blake Lively chose to start this legal action. You could make the argument that she did it because she was getting a lot of negative press. You see on social media people going after her. It was her opportunity to reset the narrative and explain her side of the story. But if you take his allegations as true, why would you file a lawsuit knowing he's got these text messages and the footage that might refute your claims? Because his perspective could be, I don't want this going to trial. I'll put out everything right now for the public to see, make it look Blake Lively's allegations aren't true. I don't even care if this goes to trial. Maybe pressuring her to settle. Which do you see in the sense of how much are we talking about this actually, $250 million claim here, $400 million claim here, this is going to go to trial versus we are fighting this out in the court of public opinion?
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. I heard someone on a different show say that there's two different trials, one in the legal courts, one in the court of public opinion. And one of the things that his attorney is claiming in his complaint was that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds had pressured Justin Baldoni and his team once the film was out and she was getting this negative backlash to put out a statement, basically, accounting saying we behaved poorly on the set, there was misconduct, which they refused to do. And I think the thinking behind that might have been, hey, if they put out this statement, taking some of the blame, the backlash against her on social media might start to lessen a little bit. They refused to do that, saying we did nothing wrong here. And then I think that's where a lot of the court of public opinion is coming out. And I also think, his complaint against her was 200 pages with tons of text messages, emails. That's fairly long. I haven't seen a federal complaint that long. So I think that's a big part of it.
I want to go to the footage now. This is what we really want to focus on, or one of the things we want to focus on. And then we'll get into the request for a gag order, which I think is really interesting. So I have to give you some context about this footage before I play it. So here is how Blake Lively explains this in her complaint. It reads, quote, on another occasion, Mr. Baldoni and Miss Lively were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. And by the way, their characters were romantic interest in the movie. Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Miss Lively out of character as himself. At one point, he leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her ear and down her neck as he said, "It smells so good." None of this was remotely in character or based on any dialogue in the script, and nothing needed to be said because, again, there was no sound. Mr. Baldoni was caressing Miss Lively with his mouth in a way that had nothing to do with their roles. When Miss Lively later objected to this behavior, Mr. Baldoni's response was, "I'm not even attracted to you." But Baldoni has a different take on this because in his complaint, it says, as they were acting in this montage scene, Lively continued to break character and speak as herself rather than as Lily, which was extremely confusing for Baldoni, who was trying to balance directing the scene within his artistic vision while also acting in character while filming and trying to get Lively to do the same. Lively apologized for the smell of her spray tan and body makeup. Baldoni responded, "It smells good," and continued acting, slow dancing as he believed his character would with his partner, which requires some amount of physical touching. Lively took them out of character again and began to joke about Baldoni's nose, which he laughed off and joked in turn, even as Lively joked that he should get plastic surgery. Lively incorrectly alleges that this scene was filmed without sound. Baldoni was wearing a microphone and the entire exchange is captured on camera. Any suggestion that this scene was filmed in any manner other than pure professionalism by Baldoni is unequivocally countered with actual evidence. Her allegation of sexual harassment is a documented and knowingly fabricated lie. Okay, so with that in mind, two different perspectives. I want you to watch for yourself because Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, released what appears to be the raw footage of this interaction. So first, this is about him allegedly dragging his lips against her and the smell comment.
Let's score another. I'm probably going to
Well, it's not bad. It's my body makeup.
There's also this exchange about the nose.
I feel so nosy.
I know. And my nose is so big.
Yes. I was hoping that we could address this. It's not too late. Just gotta shut down. Gotta call an insurance month and just deal with that.
Yeah.
And then
God.
just kidding.
No, it's true. That's why we hired Denny's late too. Our noses.
All right, so Elizabeth, after watching that, whose narrative does it support more, Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni?
Yeah, so I read both complaints, and when this footage came out, my initial thought was this really tends to prove what his version of events is in the complaint. So it's really clear when you watch the footage that they're acting out a scene, right? Because you hear him speaking to people in the background, people are saying action, he yells cut at the end. It's clear that they're filming a scene for the movie. It's supposed to be a montage scene, so there's no actual dialogue between their two characters, but their job is to portray these two characters who are in love and going through this sort of chaotic relationship as the movie progresses. So, one of the things that she's saying is, he leaned in too close to her, he caressed her, he said it smells so good. It paints sort of like a creepy, inappropriate picture. Yeah. But then in his version of events, he's saying, look, I'm trying to stay in character. This is a montage scene. We're trying to show these two characters who are attracted to each other. And when I watched the footage, it tended to veer more towards that description. And I think that footage he used to counter the harassment claims. And then also one of his claims where he's saying she's trying to hijack the movie, which goes into other claims in his complaint.
The counter argument is, look, she's a great actress. She might be hiding what she's feeling. She might be hiding because she wants to get this scene done. She's a professional. If she's really, not comfortable about what's going on, sure, she's Blake Lively. She could stop the production, tell them no, but, she also has to get the job done. Could she be masking it? Could she be hiding what she's really feeling?
Yeah, there's a possibility. And actually, when this footage came out, her team came out and said, well, this footage just goes to prove what we've been alleging all along. You see that she's clearly uncomfortable. She's laughing. She's trying to say to Justin Baldoni, I think our characters should just talk and maybe not necessarily caress each other. So there is that possibility as well. And that's what her team is claiming.
By the way,
and her team is going to do anything they can to spin the narrative, because we can clearly see that man did not perform anything out of bounds with that lady. And it's sad because it's believe all women, no matter what they do, and it's a very terrible situation. It's terrible. I'm pretty much shocked and just thrown back because he put out so much evidence to refute every single thing she said. The nudity, talking about the P word or whatever, adult film stuff. Do you know what that was? It was a photo of a man and his wife holding their newborn baby. And it doesn't even show them nude. They had a water birth and they showed the birth of the baby. That was it. It had nothing to do with anything inappropriate. Ryan Reynolds could be in trouble as well for his involvement.
Justin Baldoni's lawyer isn't just coming with receipts in the lawsuit against Blake Lively, as they already found a loophole that could mean Ryan Reynolds may have ruined the case for Blake with some damning details you would never see coming. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's lawsuit has made many people switch sides from one party to another in the past few months as more claims emerge. It all started when many of Blake's past videos resurfaced on her rudeness to colleagues or people she has worked with, and the whole internet saw her actions for what they were. With all the evidence from Blake's interviews, she was blamed for whatever drama might have happened between her and Justin because he has been known to be a non-troublesome individual. Still, when it looked like the heat may have cooled off, people switched sides immediately when Blake dropped some jaw-dropping details of what she accused Justin Baldoni of on set. The New York Times published a detailed article about how Justin hired a crisis manager to bury Blake Lively after she accused him of misconduct on the set. Then it was added that Justin paid publicists to start a smear campaign against Blake using screenshots of chats that now seem to have been misinterpreted. But even more crazy is the misconduct Blake accused Justin of on the set of It Ends With Us. As more receipts have shown, things didn't happen precisely the way the New York Times reported it. It gets pretty wild because another person in the controversy, Ryan Reynolds, may have indirectly helped Justin Baldoni's case. Since the controversy started, fans have tried to connect the dots and find out every detail behind what happened with the two main cast of It Ends With Us, and if many of the allegations are true. However, many of these accusations started on the set of It Ends With Us, which coincides with the filming of Deadpool and Wolverine. Now being one of the biggest films of 2024, Deadpool is back in the news, but not for a pleasant reason. One of the characters in the film, Nice Pool, played by Ryan himself, has been speculated to be a parody of Justin Baldoni, starting with the man bun, which is a hairstyle Justin donned for years, but cut in 2023 to donate to children who have lost their hair due to medical reasons. But that's the least of the comparisons to Justin, as Nice Pool had some distinct comments that made it even more complex. In the film, Nice Pool commented on Lady Pool, a character played by Blake Lively, where he said,
"Oh my goodness, wait till you see Lady Pool. She is gorgeous. She just had a baby too, and
Nice Pool saying Lady Pool just had a baby was a real life event turned into a script because Blake had a baby in 2023 around the time Deadpool and It Ends With Us was filmed, which became a part of Blake Lively's case as she mentioned that Justin came into her trailer while she was breastfeeding and exposed. It gets even more fascinating after Deadpool scrutinizes Nice Pool for commenting on Lady Pool's body, which has been inferred to mean another case of Blake where she revealed that Justin body shamed her on set even though she just had a baby. Art continued to mirror real life in the character of Nice Pool after he dropped another mind-blowing statement that parodies how Justin presents himself in real life.
I don't think you're supposed to say that. That's okay. I identify as a feminist.
But it didn't stop there because many more details that are only peculiar to the It Ends With Us controversy somehow found their way into the conversation between Deadpool and Nice Pool. Another sensitive issue from the set of It Ends With Us was the demands made by Blake, which was always to have the intimacy coordinator around because she didn't feel secure filming the spicy scenes with Justin. This demand has been proven to be a manipulative tactic to drive the narrative that Justin had no regard for the intimacy coordinator on set because in the chat receipts and more, we discovered an intimacy coordinator was always present and that it was Blake who showed reluctance in engaging with the services of the coordinator. But instead, Ryan found another opportunity for a joke in Deadpool.
And where in God's name is the intimacy coordinator?
After mentioning he is a feminist, Nice Pool took another dig at Justin by speaking about his calling.
My calling is to one day host a podcast that monetizes the women's movement.
Again, what makes this so weird is that Justin co-hosts a podcast about masculinity called The Man Enough. Justin has built some of his reputation in supporting women's stories and experiences, making the dig very direct. It wasn't subtle at all. As one of the writers and producers of the film who likes to make jokes about situations around him, many people are convinced Ryan was mocking Justin in the movie. And while this may have made the case more interesting, it has also brought on complications for Blake's lawsuits, and the details are super scary. From the hairstyle to many of the statements made by Nice Pool, it was obvious that Ryan was coming for Justin. And it's a bad look for the couple as their situation moves closer to the court, because if many of these things claimed by Blake were accurate, sensitive, and scary, why would Ryan go ahead to dilute it all and make jokes out of them? Also, people often insinuate that Ryan and Blake play themselves in their projects, and their history also shows they make jokes even with their marriage. But
Yep, and that's true. And this poor man has to endure the embarrassment of all this stuff that this guy was doing. Now Ryan Reynolds, who had made $1 billion movie making fun of this man, because he's intimidated. He's intimidated that this guy got his wife turned on in real time. So now it's going to be big bank versus little bank. And these two will never have to deal with each other again. But this is what happens when you have people who are very powerful and hard to deal with. Now, Blake Lively's always going to have a deal because Ryan Reynolds is an A-list actor. But other people in Hollywood didn't want nothing to do with her. They were tired of her tirelessly attitude and fighting with wardrobe, everything. Yeah. Everyone can see this thing is going to blow up. And Hollywood's going to get turned upside down. And it's going to be hard to make films with anybody that seems difficult. Blake Lively has a past of being terrible with people. Meanwhile, It Ends With Us is almost a foreshadowing of what's going to happen here. It's going to end with us. Blake Lively took control of that set, in my opinion. The message, the evidence that's there, the producers and the wardrobe department, everybody can pretty much tell you. Blake Lively took over the writing, the editing, and Sony said, oh, they're giving the picture to Blake Lively, and took the picture away from him. So now Taylor Swift, Blake Lively, and Ryan Reynolds, who has nothing to do on paper with this film, got the writer to go along to their side and cause all of this mess. She fought over every single thing, rewrote lines that was written. She wanted the sound the way she wanted it to sound. And all of this torpedoed their project. This is the biggest film Blake's ever made. Yep. And Ryan wanted to control it. Ryan's on the red carpet and he's all over the place promoting her film in the middle of him supposedly promoting the film he was supposed to be promoting, which is Deadpool and Wolverine. He's out there doing her press run. And this guy, whose film it was, he was the writer, the director, and the actor, the star in the movie. But they gave the movie to her and made it all about her. Meanwhile, he was out on the side with his spouse, his family, and everybody who loved him. You know, he's got a smoking hot wife. He's got a nice family too. And he didn't want her. So let that sink in, and that's kind of like where we are with things, and it's sad. I don't think Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds get it. I don't think it's more Ryan. Ryan is one of those husbands that is like, damn it, I gotta do it. Or I'm gonna hear about this shit. And then they ended up getting into a mess that they shouldn't even be in because they're defending their wives. And they were like, look, I knew it screwed up, but I had to do it. She's my wife. You don't know until you get married. And it's I've seen husbands make this same dumbass mistake. They make an excuse for copping out when it's time to actually be a husband. And say, okay, well, this is the part where you gotta tell your wife, hey, that's enough. I'm the husband. I gotta no, they don't even want that. They want to just say, no, let her do it. I don't want to hear that. So they would rather be dismissive or not just dismissive, but just I don't even want to hear it. They just cop out completely. Quite strange, but you see it happen a lot, very often too. I've never seen other people wish for pain on others so much as I've seen in this like recent times of this industry. When you see other people making complaints and making things up and making things happen. This was a good movie, and just the controversy ruins it. And when you got a jealous husband, and a wife that's jealous, you're stuck in this conundrum of this is what we are today. Ryan Reynolds was intimidated by the guy, and Blake Lively, who was in the suit, the cat suit that they designed for her to wear for her cameo scene. She's often been this superficial woman who everybody just follows Anything she says, oh, we gotta follow Blake Lively. And she's never gave anybody any problems. She never did anything that really stood out from an actress perspective. She's always played the slut bag, the junkie, the girl that was mishandled. You know, she's always played that role. And then when she got with Ryan Reynolds, that changed. Now she's the alpha pantsuit wearing, the Prada wearing, the supermodel dresses. She's in Fashion Week. She's in all. No, she's just diva out for no reason. You know, it reminds me of a Katie Holmes situation. Like when Katie Holmes, you know, got with Tom Cruise, she became red carpet material, and it was just like, oh my god, what is going on? What is going on here? There's so much weird activity happening. People got to get smart, man. They really do. And if they get smart enough, you know, people will figure it out. But if they want to stay in the dark, let them stay in the dark. You know, but in other words, we are out like a scout on a new route. For show. So don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. Hi, I'm Carcino. Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. No one knows Carcino and none of these. There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. And we out.